This video is dedicated to all the victims of Gonzalo Lira, especially to the women who suffered from his abuse. If it helps, just know that he is burning in hell and that he suffered in the last days he was on earth.
Okay, so moving on to the next video that I'm going to talk about. This one right here, the dumbest crash out in YouTube. I'm going to debunk this video right here.
There have been so many crash outs on the internet, it's hard to keep count. From Johnny Somali to Nick Harris to Britney Spears. I could go on, but you guys get my point. The list is never ending and more people join it every day. And if somehow you've been living under a rock or don't keep up with the lingo people come up with online, firstly, I envy you. And secondly, let me quickly explain what I mean so that we're all on the same page. A crash out is when someone basically nukes their life for everyone to see online, whether that be relapsing on drugs or because they got the wrong toy in their Happy Meal. Honestly, people do it for all sorts of reasons. And sometimes the reason can be from the very content they decide to upload.
Okay, really fast. One thing that I do have to give thanks to the creator of this video is that he's the first, as far as I know, he's the first content creator. He's the first one. This is the first video where I see Gonzalo Lira put next to these other streamers, because honestly, Gonzalo Lira is one of the first cases of a live streamer who was doing harm to the community, city population where he was living. Yes, Gonzalo Lira was promoting Russian propaganda in a country that was being invaded by Russia. I mean, dude. Okay, let me rephrase that. Johnny Somali right now is stuck in South Korea because he was breaking their laws, right? How come there is no outrage about Johnny Somali being arrested for his freedom of speech, rights? Nobody's defending Johnny Somali, and that's basically what Gonzalo Lira was doing in Ukraine. But you have all these right wing and anti-establishment news platforms trying to paint Gonzalo Lira as a martyr for freedom of speech. Fuck! Johnny Somali is expressing his freedoms of speech, and you don't see anybody trying to defend the guy, right? Why? Because he's an embarrassment to America. He's an embarrassment. Nobody wants anything to do with him. And the same thing will happen if everybody view Gonzalo Lira the same way. Why the fuck are you gonna be promoting Russian propaganda in a country that is being invaded by Russia? It makes no sense.
That don't make no sense.
But here we are. So, okay, let's keep going.
A lot of the times, these people simply can't handle the pressure of being an internet persona, or couldn't handle the consequences that their own content brought down upon them. Whatever the case may be, the very subject of this video is no different and is a harsh reminder to the rest of us that we shouldn't always let the intrusive thoughts in our heads win. We'll be covering the infamous Coach Red Pill, also known as Gonzalo Lira, also known as the ultimate example of how not to live abroad as an expat. Gonzalo launched his original channel, cleverly named Coach Red Pill, on March 13th, 2017. And yes, I said original channel as he would go on to make several more, which were Gonzalo Lira again, and some other streaming channel. On Gonzalo's Coach Red Pill channel, he gave completely unfiltered opinions that would put your drunk racist uncle at Thanksgiving to shame.
But I recognize the truth about women. Women are like dogs.
So far, everything's okay. So far, this video is doing good. And I was loving it. I was liking it so far. But later, you'll see where I got some problems with it, okay?
Wait for it. Here it comes. Almost there.
Now, what do I mean? You have to treat them like you would treat a dog.
Though, despite that, he did upload a lot of motivational videos that encouraged working hard and chasing your dreams.
Anything imagined by a man can be accomplished by a man. It's as simple as that.
So on one hand, you had this controversial and polarizing figure, but also a family man that promoted self-actualization. The duality of Gonzalo led to many debates online, with people arguing that he was just a sexist internet troll, while others saw him as a man who wasn't afraid to express ideas, even if they offended people. But if you look at his channel today, you'll realize he only has a couple videos on the channel, and that's because sometime during 2021, he nuked his channel for reasons we'll get into later. Gonzalo's first year or so on YouTube was spent screaming into the void.
Okay.
Say, hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
This is something that I have to mention right here, because otherwise, if you guys don't keep it in mind, you won't see why I get angry when I watch this type of videos that are failing on some of the basic information. You see this studio right here? This studio right there. As the guy who is talking in this video, as he mentioned, He started his videos, he started his first YouTube channel on March of 2017. 2017, keep that in mind. 2017. That place where he's sitting right there, that's in Britain. I don't know if it's in London, but that was in the UK. Gonzalo Lira started his videos, his YouTube career in the UK, in the United Kingdom, in March 2017. Keep that in mind. Okay, let's keep going.
Which is funnily enough what I'm doing right now. Overall, his content was charismatic and quickly garnered an audience, with his channel eventually reaching over 250,000 subscribers. All seemed pretty good on the outside looking in, but behind the scenes, Gonzalo's videos were taking a toll on his personal life. With all the attention he was getting, he had become an e-celeb, even if just a relatively small one. But with this kind of attention, the shitty set of line was starting to get back to him, and to his wife. Gonzalo had a metric crap ton of videos about women on his Coach Red Pill channel, ranging from advice telling men to not date women who are victims of SA, to advice on how to properly cheat on your girlfriend/wife, and this.
If you meet a girl who has tattoos, know that she is crazy. No exceptions.
All the stuff Gonzalo was posting online began wrecking his marriage, which, I mean, come on, is this a surprise to any of us?
Right there, that is, it's just aggravating for me to hear this. Why are you saying that these videos were wrecking his marriage? That is wrong.
No, the lie detector determined that was a lie.
That is wrong right there. Oh my God. But I'm just telling you, you'll see why I get aggravated when I hear this.
Put yourself in his wife's shoes. Your husband is on the internet implying that he trains you like a dog and bragging about his sexual escapades with other women for YouTube clout while you're stuck at home raising the children you had with him. And it's not as if they had been married all that long. According to Gonzalo, he had met his Ukrainian wife during the mid-2010s in Germany while out on a business trip. After getting married, they moved to Ukraine where they had 2 children, a boy and a girl. Now, with all this tension between them, with who knows what else going on behind the scenes, eventually the powder keg went off spectacularly. Coach Red Pill was never open about what was going on in his marriage, as he only ever explained his own behavior in the marriage and not much else. But at some point in 2019, he released a video named Rethinking Marriage. In my opinion, cracks in his relationship were momentarily being expressed in this video.
As I think about it more, I start to realize that, yeah, you should not get married. I mean, have kids if you want to with a woman that you're seeing, but there's no upside. And quite frankly, there's too much downside, too much risk. It's pointless. What exactly is the reason to get married if the marriage fails, you're going to get f***ed over righteously?
To hear a married man speak in such a way was rather strange. If you're happily married, why would you go out of your way to talk about how marriage isn't worth it and bring up how your wife could betray you? You could argue he was playing devil's advocate, but rest assured, his entire channel was a vanity project where he would only post his unapologetic opinions. And for his opinions on marriage to take a complete 180 was not only unprecedented, but the timing of it was just way too coincidental with what came next.
Yeah, okay. So this is the thing. Gonzalo Lira was talking like this because he was living a single man's life in the UK. Gonzalo Lira abandoned his family in Ukraine in 2017 while he was in Britain starting his YouTube career. He was lying to his audience, telling them that he was having conversation with his kids, that he was seeing them often every day, and all of that was a lie. While he was in Britain, he started a relationship with another woman. So far, we only know of one woman. But later, that woman contacted via text Gonzalo Lira's ex-wife, and that's how she found out. A year later, when Gonzalo returned to Ukraine after abandoning his family for a year, that's when the marriage started collapsing because he got defensive. He attacked his wife and kids. The guy had mental issues. That's why when she divorced him, he didn't object to her keeping the kids because he was a deadbeat father. So that brings me back to what I told the other guy, that yeah, you're worrying about Gonzalo Lira's kids more than Gonzalo Lira ever did.
I'm talking directly about Coach Red Pill here. A lot of people are making videos about him now when he's already gone. My only issue with this is the fact that he's got a wife and kids, or ex-wife and kids.
Which is, it's crazy. Why are you telling people to stop talking shit about Gonzalo Lira because he's no longer here to defend himself? Well, the guy was a shameless deadbeat father that if you ever try to confront legally, he will try to silence you.
A man don't take care of children. You should not be on the choir. No choir. You should not be on the drums. That's right. You should not be on the organ. Yeah. You should not be in the pulpit. Yes. You should not be ordained. Amen. Talk to me.
So yeah, fuck that guy, man.
Sometime in 2021, Gonzalo and his wife got divorced, which could be found online when searching on Ukrainian government websites of case files.
See right there, he has the freaking paperwork. My God, he has the paperwork and he didn't bother to read it?
What? What the fuck?
He didn't bother to read the paperwork where it says that he abandoned his wife. My God, why didn't you read it? Why didn't you read it? Why is it because it's on freaking Ukrainian? Dude, no big deal. Let me show you. Here's the website right there. When you have a Ukrainian, you can translate it to English. No big deal. Let me see. Let's see right there. Criminal Complaint Court Resolution. Which one is this one? Let me see. Oh, see. Let's see. Having considered the. Okay. So really fast. Let me show you right here. Let me see. Okay. So it says right here, the children were born in the Republic of Chile and have been citizens of Ukraine since birth. The defendant has citizenship of Republic of Chile and the United States. The defendant obviously is Gonzalo Lira. In addition to the Ukrainian citizenship, have citizenship with Chile and the United States. Triple citizenship. 2 places later, the man went, as he said, to Great Britain to work. Then, according to him, he worked in other countries from January 2017 to the present. He started his channel in March 2017, and he left Ukraine in January of 2017. So he got to Ukraine on November 2016, and he didn't even last half a year and just took off and abandoned his wife and kids. Oh my God. And you're gonna be telling me that I should be concerned for his children when the guy didn't give a fuck about them the day that he abandoned them? Dude. Okay. I can tell that I'm going to lose my voice if I don't control myself.
Government websites of case files. While names aren't mentioned, nationalities are, and the dates all line up with Gonzalo's behavior after this. I'm gonna say that the divorce in 2021 was the beginning of Gonzalo's crash out. Because after this divorce, this guy went off the deep end for no good reason. Just imagine you're him. You have kids, you have wealth, you have reasons to live, but what he would do next was so reckless and stupid, he just basically threw it all away for likes and views on YouTube. Speaking of, if anyone ends up watching this video, consider leaving a like and subbing, as I'm gonna continue to provide unique and entertaining content for you guys. During this time, he decided to straight up nuke his channel. And I mean, he got rid of hundreds of videos, years of work, just gone. He never gave an explanation as to why, but to me it seems as though he did it for the upcoming custody battle with his ex-wife. So Gonzalo was divorced, still in Ukraine making content, with it now shifting to politics. While his content...
Okay, so I had to pause it right there because the fellow who is who made this video is assuming that the reason why Gonzalo nuked his channel is to help him fight for his kids on court. But that is wrong, because Gonzalo, he relented custody of his children without hesitation. Yeah. Dude, I had to stop saying, yeah, I'm going to start sounding like Gonzalo Lira. Oh, shit. I hope that doesn't happen. Okay, I'm going to stop saying yeah because, oh my God, I don't want to end up with like that guy. Okay. So, yeah. Again. Okay, so Gonzalo Lira relented custody of his children, gave it away to his wife without a fight. So the whole nuking of his channel, I don't think it was because of that. Honestly, I think it's because Gonzalo Lira was having a middle-age crisis, because a lot of the stuff that he was saying on his channel were all lies. He claimed that those were lessons that he learned through life, but a lot of the stories that Gonzalo told on his videos were lies. Let's see.
His life, YouTube cloud told...
Wait, hold on. Let me pause it for a second. I think I'm getting some chats. Let me see what it says. He deleted his channel, claiming that the YouTube CEO was against red pill content and had demonetized it. He deleted everything in revenge to YouTube, so YouTube wouldn't make money from ads in his videos. That is a good point. That is a valid point. Yes, I do. I can agree with that. I can agree with that. Gonzalo was too stupid to understand that even if your videos are demonetized, you can still make like small snippets and then direct people to your Patreon page so that they can watch the full video. This is another indication that the guy wasn't that smart when it came to business, right? I mean, my God, this, yeah, that's another proof that the guy was not a good businessman. But right now, I'm just going to tell you, I don't believe in the same assumption that this fellow is saying. And listen, I like the way he edited his video and the music that he put on and everything. But the narrative that he created for this video is inaccurate. It is made up. It doesn't match with the paperwork. My God. He had the paperwork right there. Why didn't he read it himself so that he could learn that what he's saying was wrong?
Disappointed!
Oh my God. But okay. So yeah, that's pretty much.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Up until this moment had political undertones, with talks of escaping the Matrix and being anti-modern Western culture. He never really talked about politics the same way Hassan or Tim Pool did. But he thought to himself, hey, people like it when I talk about whatever the hell I want, so why not talk about politics? And thus, the political Isolep phase of Gonzalo began. He talked about Ukraine, the United States, and the particular virus that shall not be named. All sorts of yap and conspiracy theories that I wouldn't even include in here, as most of it is just boring, to be honest. And in hindsight, it's just so ridiculous how this guy talked about how we should all flee the West while moving to Ukraine of all places. I don't think he could have been any more wrong if he tried. And of course,
in that I do have to agree with this fellow right here. You know what? I cannot be that mad at him. I like his editing, the way he edited his video. His take on why Gonzalo Lira nuked his channel is completely wrong. He had the documentation right there, the Ukrainian divorce paperwork, and he didn't read it. That is disappointing. But in this, I do have to agree, and I'm grateful that he is voicing that right there. Gonzalo Lira against the West. Yeah, he sounds like Hassan Piker if you think about it. Hassan Piker, I hate that guy. I don't watch that guy because he gets on my nerves. He's claiming that Russia or China are better than the United States.
What makes it interesting for me at least is like seeing so many people from all over the country literally travel here just to see this.
That part is insane.
I just don't like. I don't have any sort of patriotism in my heart for America, but just in general. I'm not like a very. I care about people.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like it's hard to comprehend.
And so here we are. I'm living up to what I said about conservatives and progressives. We're having a conversation. So you said America deserved 9/11. Did you mean that?
Yeah.
Okay, so whatever you want to do, like in the West, right? He criticizes. But if this was the case where, the United States, like the US Apple Store, banned these apps, like I don't know what they use, but let's say Tinder, right? Tinder is a dating app. I don't know what the equivalent is called. I think it's called Grindr, right? For gay men. If that was banned, I think Hassan would be very much over like angry over that, right? If that was banned. But it's just okay that when China bans it, that he's like, oh, look, my friend Austin, who's gay, he's in China, he's been using those apps. That means it's okay. So it's like anytime something like this happens in China, it seems like it's okay. But when it happens in the US, it's not okay. So you see the hypocrisy there. His interaction with the cops in Tiananmen Square. As long as the cop is Chinese, then the cop is okay. But if it's an American cop, that's just, cops are bad, right? Cops are racist and cops are, the worst human beings.
Man, what the fuck that guy, man. Seriously, fuck Hassan Piker. That guy pisses me off. And, I'm glad that this guy, at least he's recognizing that.
We have to address the elephant in the room. February 2022 marked the beginning of Russia's military operation in Ukraine. As thousands of expats and Ukrainians fled the country, including Gonzalo's ex-wife and children, where do you think he decided to go? Did he hop on a plane and leave as soon as possible? After all, he had the resources to do so, and more than enough time to prepare something in advance. Well, of course he didn't, because if he had, then I wouldn't even be making this video about him. Yeah, the American Chilean with dual citizenship, whose family had already fled the country, for some reason decided to remain in Ukraine during the Russian invasion. Even in retrospect, I have zero clue why the fuck he did this. I'm stumped, guys, I'll admit it. At this point
Yes. And see, right there, trying to find the reason why he decided to stay. That's why I came to the conclusion that led me to make that video about the legacy of Gonzalo Lira. It was his father, the way he bullied the fuck out of Gonzalo, the reason why he decided to stay. Because, he wanted to prove himself as a big man taking on a bigger opponent, oh, you don't bully me, all that stuff. And that was the reason why he ended up staying. That is at least my opinion. I agree with this guy when he says that why didn't he flee to other countries? He tried to flee to Hungary when it was already too late. He should have gone to Hungary. But also you have to keep in mind, I believe that the reason why he decided to stay is because since he was staying in Ukraine, he had more credentials to be able to speak all his lies and have people believe that what he was saying was true. Oh, what I'm saying is true because I'm right here. What is happening in Ukraine? I mean, come on. How stupid can you be? So yeah, I believe it was number one, because his father bullied the shit out of him. And number two, because in that way, by being in Ukraine, talking about the war, he was going to get more credit, and therefore more people were going to listen to him. That's one of that's some of the reasons why I believe he decided to stay. But I understand this guy; he's not a big fan of politics. He calls them boring. I understand why he didn't get that, but okay, let's keep watching. It's 6 minutes 19 seconds.
Went to his head. I'm 100% convinced that if he never even made a YouTube channel, he would have left with his kids and gone back to Western Europe or the United States or wherever the hell. But instead, here he was vlogging in Ukraine at one of the worst.
I have to stop right there. He wouldn't go back to the United States, that he said. That I don't think that would have been the case, because he claims that he hated the United States.
In the current regime of the West, Western Europe, and the United States, I mean, that's why I have no intention of returning, by the way. When this war is over, I'm moving east, because at least in Russia and China, they're not afraid of looking at the truth.
Russians are proving to be economically a lot more powerful, and now they have become much more powerful vis-a-vis Europe as Europe slowly slides down, and also as the United States slowly slides down. The Russians are a lot stronger economically, and they're a lot stronger militarily, whereas the people in the West are divided by social issues, by economic issues, by political issues of various sorts. The people in the West are exhausted, and let's face facts, they are decadent and degenerate. The people in the West, in Europe, the United States and Canada, Australia, New Zealand, they're weak. They're weakling losers. And their countries are collapsing around them, and they don't have the strength of will, the moral strength of character to repair their own countries, to straighten up and fly right. And that's the truth.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But not only that, I believe that he went to Ukraine because Ukraine was such a corrupt country that he could just bribe any authorities that might try to arrest him for committing online fraud. That's another reason why I believe he went to Ukraine, not because he wanted to stay with his kids. Since he abandoned them 3 months after getting there, I don't think his family was the reason why he was staying there. I believe he was staying in Ukraine because he could commit fraud and then get away with it, because the Ukrainian authorities were easy to be bribed, and therefore he will get away with crime. That's what I believe. So another thing that you have to keep in mind, Gonzalo Lira was accused of attempted rape in Chile. He was being investigated. That you can find right there on the same documentation that you, my good sir, did not bother to read. Let me see. Chile. During his residence in Chile, there was also right here. During his residence in Chile, there was also a case when the defendant severely beat his minor nephew who has autism. Let's see, there's another one. Oh, right there. It's on top. Look, his wife right there. During the defendant's arrival, his aggressive behavior an imbalance leads to moral and physical violence against the plaintiff, which is his ex-wife and children. Already after the marriage, she learned that the defendant, Gonzalo, had problems with the law, a criminal case for attempted, and there's the word right there. So, yes, my good sir, Gonzalo Lira was a piece of shit. Breaking news, right? Okay. So I don't think he wanted to come back to the West because he had way too many skeletons in the closet. I believe that he visited New York a couple of months before the war started, but for him to stay in the West, it was too hard already for him. That's my belief. I might be wrong, but I wouldn't fear betting money on that. But it's too late to find out. But oh well, let's keep going.
Or wherever the hell. But instead, here he was vlogging in Ukraine at one of the worst moments for him to even be in the country. And despite how he made it seem, he could have just left. But at this point, Gonzalo was hellbent on showing the world what lengths he would go to just to get internet fame. At this point in 2022, he was driven by nothing but his own ego and arrogance. And you might think I'm being too harsh in my criticisms, but you're about to find out why I'm saying all of this. Remember how I said he began making political content? Well, during this time in Ukraine, when the country just got invaded, he decided it was time to start making videos criticizing the Ukrainian government.
You what?
Now bots, Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus, and all these other Slavic countries are some of the most authoritarian in Europe, where if you criticize the governments, bad things are gonna happen to you. Coach Red Pill wasn't a dumb guy, and he definitely knew this. But at this point, he just didn't care anymore, I guess. He made video after video after video talking shit about the Ukrainian government. All the while, the Ukrainian Special Police, known as the SBU, had Gonzalo in their sights. They weren't about to let some YouTuber undermine their war effort, and with all the heat he put on himself, eventually he got in serious trouble. Sometime in April of 2022, Gonzalo was held at gunpoint and later arrested by the SBU. News of his arrest went viral online, and he went missing for months. He had lost access to his Gonzalo Lira account from which he was posting his political...
Right there, another mistake that this fellow made. Gonzalo Lira was arrested twice. The first time that he lasted 1 week being disappeared. During that time, they gave him a warning. They gave him a warning to stop spreading misinformation and Russian propaganda. And now this is important. A lot of people keep forgetting this. But that wasn't just the SBU focusing on one individual. No, there were hundreds of Russian sympathizers in Ukraine who were helping Russia. And many of those people were arrested. And if they didn't have criminal background, they were sent back to their homes for house arrest, which is what happened to Gonzalo Lira. After he was arrested the first time, he was sent back home for house arrest. He wasn't allowed to leave the city, but he continued breaking the law. In Ukraine, they have this system where they expect citizens to regulate themselves. They get a warning and they're told, hey, if you keep doing it, it's gonna get worse to you. It's common sense. You better stop. But Gonzalo Lira didn't have common sense, and the guy continued. Not only that, but he believed that he was untouchable because he was internet famous. That's why he made that final video where he was telling the people about his plan of crossing the border with Hungary and fleeing over there, because he was making one last attempt to have people advocate for him in case that he went missing.
So either I will cross the border into Hungary in the next couple of hours, or I will be arrested again, and God knows what will happen to me. So if I post again, here on the video and on Twitter, then you know that I made it. And if I don't, then you know that I didn't. And I would ask you humbly that if you don't hear from me again, anybody and everybody who's watching this video, please raise a ruckus, raise a fuss.
I'm going to tell you something that I was going to wait until tomorrow on the mainstream. He was right. After he was arrested, many of his followers sent letters and emails to the State Department. They got overflowed, and Gonzalo Lira was going to be released. The State Department were working on a release process for Gonzalo Lira days before he died. So if Gonzalo Lira would have stayed alive a couple of weeks more, he could have been released and brought back to America. But Gonzalo Lira passed away because of his own fault. Not because he was tortured, but because the guy was in such a bad shape that he couldn't survive one winter in a Ukrainian prison. That is the truth. But okay, so yeah, let's finish watching this video. It's only 4 more minutes and that's it, okay? So okay, let's finish this up.
The war in Ukraine, but besides that, he was released from Ukrainian custody without a scratch. While he's been crashing out this whole time, this next mistake he would make proved to be fatal. By his own admission, after being released by the SBU, the message from the Ukrainian secret police was clear. They wanted him to leave the country. He stayed and kept making videos. And while some of his criticisms of the Ukrainian government could be seen as justifiable, why take this level of risk? Whenever he was on someone else's channel talking about the war and was asked, why are you still there? He'd always just ignore the question or just say something like, I live here, I'm stuck here. But both of those answers were just ridiculous. The real answer was ego. He thought he could remain in Ukraine, say whatever he wanted to about the Ukrainian government during a time of war, and that he was basically untouchable. Now granted, to me, all of his videos about the war were basically harmless. However, I could see why Ukrainians may have found what he was saying to be problematic. After all, he was accusing the Ukrainian government of being an American puppet that was partaking in a proxy war, which is a very serious accusation to be making, especially at the time. But at the end of the day, he was just an old man on YouTube chasing clout. He wasn't a Russian propagandist. He wasn't sharing Ukrainian troop movement.
Okay. See, I have to stop it right there. That's another thing that right there is the reason why I decided to debunking this channel, this video from this channel right there, because how are you going to say that Gonzalo Lira was not a propagandist? My dude, he had ties with RT News since 2011.
Welcome to the future, bringing you the latest in science and technology from around Russia.
We've got the future covered.
Welcome back to the Kaiser Report. I'm Max Kaiser. Time to go back to Chile and talk with Gonzalo Lira, one of the regulars here on the Kaiser Report. Why? Because he's in Chile, and Chile and Brazil are like the only countries that are doing well these days. Gonzalo, welcome back to the Kaiser Report.
It's a pleasure being on, Max. Thanks for having me on.
Our next guest, writer and blogger Gonzalo Lira, believes that the cost of ultra-easy monetary policy is quite high and could be the demise of the U.S. dollar. In 2010, he laid out a hyperinflation scenario for the U.S. that was one of the most talked about posts on the blog Zero Hedge. I asked him whether this was a base case or outlier scenario.
I think it's the inevitable end of the dollar, the way the Federal Reserve has been promulgating its policies, specifically 2 policies, quantitative easing and ZIRP, that is zero interest rate policy.
More now on the economic and social crisis there with Gonzalo Lira, founder of the LiraSPG.com crisis planning organization. Thanks for being with us on the line from Santiago. Again, many of the protesters say it's greedy bankers and colluding politicians that should be punished for starting this crisis. Do you see that actually happening?
Well, they're right on the one hand because the greedy bankers and the incompetent government have not been able to solve the financial crisis. But on the other hand, what has happened is that the people have been accustomed to extraordinarily generous benefits over the last 10, 15 years.
He's been a Russian Today contributor since 2011. That is another thing that I cannot stand about these new videos. They don't do the research. They don't do the work. This video right here got like over 1,000 views and it's not even well researched. My God, 1,200 views. God, and it's full of inaccuracies. It's so frustrating. Oh my God. I don't think I can survive as a streamer because if I do this every video, you're right, my good sir, Mr. Virgilio Tarot. I apologize if I mispronunciate your name. Yeah, he wanted to die a martyr. Unfortunately, he was seeing himself as a martyr from the start. I do believe that too. I don't think he wanted to die because he tried to escape, but hey, that's how stupid the guy was. You don't want to die, but you don't want to leave the war-torn country. What the fuck is wrong with you, right? That's the problem with him. Okay. So yes, Gonzalo Lira had been a Russian Today contributor since 2011. Russian Today, if you Google RT News, you will find out that RT News was cut off from the mainstream networks because they were pushing Russian propaganda.
RT, formerly Russia Today, claims to tell the stories Western media won't. What it really does, say regulators and researchers, is push propaganda deliberately, relentlessly, and with no shame at all. For years, it's been the Kremlin's international mouthpiece, spilling wars, laundering lies, and flooding the media landscape with enough noise to make the truth look like just another opinion. According to its own mission statements, RT claims to create news with an edge for viewers who want to question more, and also to acquaint international audiences with a Russian viewpoint on major global events. In other words, the channel pitches itself as an alternative to Western media hegemony, a counterbalance that will show the side of the story that others supposedly hide. RT's longtime editor-in-chief, Margarita Simonyan, echoes the sentiment, portraying the network as an underdog truth-teller, claiming that there is a bias against Russia, and correspondingly that state-level criticisms of RT represent overt censorship. However, media watchdogs, regulators, and intelligence agencies alike all describe RT in far less heroic terms, with all of the above having identified it as naught but a Kremlin propaganda outlet, one that disseminates information, fosters societal unrest, and counters uncomfortable revelations, rather than trying to put out anything even approaching objective news. For a specific example, consider the UK's media regulator Ofcom, which has repeatedly sanctioned RT for violating impartiality rules, such as in 2012 when a news item on Syria was found to be highly supportive of the Assad government. This happened again the following year when a documentary titled Syrian Diary was cited for failing to represent alternative perspectives of the war. Then in early 2014, just as tensions were beginning to flare up in Ukraine, Ofcom ruled that several of RT's news bulletins had ignored key viewpoints. You can guess in which direction, and thus had misled audiences.
So if you're a contributor for a Russian propaganda channel, that turns you into a propagandist. So my good sir, what you say right here on minute A50-something about Gonzalo Lira not being a propagandist, that is wrong. That is lazy research. I don't think you did research, sir. But hey, like I say, I don't completely hate your video, but you had a lot of things incorrect, and that's it. I'm done with this video. Let's jump to the next one because, oh my God,